So good afternoon, everyone. So in this speed, we will talk how you can ship high quality product without compromising the speed. So I will be sharing some practical example and mostly like in code design, um, products. And I will be talking about our journey inside Activepieces. So this guide for designers, product managers, engineers, and if you are founder trying to build a startup. So let me talk a little bit about Activepieces. Activepieces is an open source automation. In this picture, this is from last expand, me and my co-founder Ashraf. And since then, we have over 100K users on the cloud and thousands of self-hosted instances based on the open source. And we have over 18K of GitHub stars. But before that, I would love to tell you the journey from the beginning, from the time I learned programming until we joined Y Combinator. Okay, so it's time to tell a story. So how did I start programming? So I didn't intend to learn. When I was 13, I was playing this game. Some people might be familiar with it, but it's a game where you have to do a lot of stuff that's similar to the real life, and it's very boring. It's very repetitive. And as someone who was young, I was impatient and want to hack the game. So in the process, I start looking to shortcuts. So I downloaded every single keylogger on the internet. I downloaded every single virus. Yes, I got hacked. That's something. But then I kind of landed in a place, small community, where someone had created like an API on top of the game based on Java that you can use to make like a script play on behalf of you. So that's how I learned programming. So I spent 4 years in this game trying. I stopped playing the game. I liked the programming more, and I wanted to make some money. So here you can see like this is my first business experience, is where I start running many of these bots and try to earn some in-game money, and then I go try to sell it for real life money. And there was like a resellers who can buy a bulk of these gold. But I was under 18, so I needed like to accept the incoming transfer through wire Western Union, but I needed to be over 18. So I kind of managed to convince my brother that I'm not getting scammed and I can use his ID, maybe for a commission, but maybe not. So toward the end of my school years, I got introduced to one of the local competition where it was a type of programming competition called competitive programming, where you're given a set of problems, and this set of problems you need math and problem solving skills to solve them through programming. So you can see the first era of my life, I was completely just trying to make money learning programming. And here I was doing this thing for fun and just learning. So this is more of like theory and practical example. So in this picture, I met these two guys in my first year in the university, Mu'tasim and Hamza. And together we were able to achieve, we won the regional championship in one of the largest international competitive programming competitions twice. And something I can say about this experience is I'm now looking back into it, and like I can't find the right word or describe it in the right way. How amazing is it to work with the people that are really talented? So my advice for you, like always surround yourself with the smart people. And that's kind of like an influenced how we build teams inside Activepieces. So we're looking for small teams, but with high density of talents. Okay, so you can see the like a practical experience and the theory experience. And I was hoping to get into the industry to kind of like have both of them, where I could earn money, but also and like serve real users, but I also can have some fun and challenges. So I had internship in Google Cloud. Then I worked for around a year in Amazon and then Google. But deep inside, there was something really missing for me. Like, to be honest, it's kind of like these are amazing company, but for me, like I was frustrated. It's mostly personal. Is that I wanted to own some code that's kind of have a real impact, where I can do the three of them, like building products instead of being just like a part of the process. So that's where how I ended up in Active Pieces. But let me give you the the backstory of Active Pieces. So during while I was working, I created many side projects. Eventually, they failed, and that's kind of how I will correlate it for shipping fast. So before Active Pieces, we actually started a company called the Flying Events, which is we sell webhook as a service, and we built a product like within a couple of weeks. We tried to sell it. Of course, it didn't sell well, so we decided to pivot. So during my time in Google, I was Ash called me and said like, let's do another try. And of course, I said like, I'm in. And we started Active Pieces as a way for SaaS company to build integration faster. So we applied for YC, we got Y Combinator, and we got into Y Combinator, and we thought like we made it. But starting the Y Combinator part, this is where it's get really interesting. We were able like to get into Y Combinator. We shipped a very scrappy product that's barely working, and we have a working demo and a couple of customers who paid us to use to use the product. So 3 4 months into Y Combinator, we got it to working product, and we actually sold more and more of this product. 3 4 months, we found people are paying us thousands per year, but they didn't sign up. They didn't even use the product. And we kind of know deep down that this business is doomed to fail. Like it might not fail now, but it's going to fail in 1 or 2 years, or maybe it's not going to grow. So we decided to make a hard decision and said like we will shut down the product. Like we will shut this product is we're no longer going to sell it. We had like a tough conversation with our customers. We have to fire our customers. We have to tell our investors. And we told our team, like, look, we have no idea what we are doing. Let's go back to exploring this. So we spend around 2 months, like each day, literally each day, we try to scrape some working demo and try to go sell this product, like whatever the idea was. None of them kind of like stick around, but we found that people looking for uh, an alternative for current automation solutions. We kind of have some sort. We are experienced with this industry, but we also don't know what they're looking for. So we said, okay, we we will go all in, and we will see what's going to happen. And the reason we went to open source is actually the distribution. We 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 first want to put the product into hand of the users and see how they use it. So within 1 month, we kind of have a working product. So we posted it on Hacker News. We got on the front page. We got huge traffic, and from these users, we start iterating on the product. That's how we ended up today. Um, okay. So some people say if you ship fast, you're actually compromising the quality. I would say that's not true. People who say that usually just do it slower, not better. And I think to define better, we let's talk about the pillars to ship fast. Uh, and from each pillar, we will take an examples about some mindset shift. So we will have to develop a new mindset where we say like we want to actively ship fast without compromising the quality. And we will take some examples and have some fun discussing these examples. Okay, so let's start with the technical part. So from technical background. So, and like as a technical person, we have three stakeholders. It's the developers, the users who actually use the product, and the business. And when I refer the business, people say like, how do I know if I'm doing well? I would argue any business in the world, any company, the only metric that's matter for this business is the revenue. Even if you are non-profit, if you are non-profit, you need more money to do more impact. So whether like everything else is kind of like a vanity metrics. It's like metrics that make you feel good, but it's not actually what's matter. So we will take some an examples of how you can end up like shipping things that doesn't matter, and we will take like some scenarios. First, let's start with the software. Like, have you ever worked in a startup that's actually, when you describe them, what do you do? And they start with the technology rather than what they're trying to solve, like from user perspective. And usually this is the result of like a developer or engineer trying to follow up some trendy technology. And I think that's kind of like sounds familiar. So we have seen like in previous year, people like was talking about NFTs, crypto, blockchain. These are like very interesting technology. I like them as like from uh, like technical point perspective, but really they fail to find a use case. So what's usually this called is a solution in search of a problem. You start with a solution and then you try to find a problem. And that's kind of like a wrong mindset to start with. Okay. So another thing, have you felt like, yeah, the dev say like we are doing the right thing in eye of the dev. That's correct. So in that kind of startup, you find the devs using the code not as a tool, but as an end goal to impress other developers. So as a developers, our goal should be to serve users. The code only is as great as how much value the user is getting it from, not from doing complex things when it's unnecessary. Okay. So another example of that is, have you seen people complicating the naming of the services when really it's not that complicated? So if you go to Google Cloud and you need content delivery network, they name it Cloud CDN. If you need a place to store the file, you name it Cloud Storage. But in AWS, you can see how they name things is kind of like SageMaker, Aurora, Route 53. So why this is kind of like symptom where the developer feel that their value is coming from using like many of like making their work look more complex than it should be. So if we try to avoid that and just try to focus on the most important thing, our code is should serve customers. So this is another type of um, thing we have seen is I call it resume driven development, is when you try to join a company and you try to use all kind of technology so you can build your CV. So for example, if you need a database, uh, like I have met some startup who have like two NoSQL database and two SQL database because they just want to put more skills in their CVs. So this is kind of like resume driven development. And this meme has a nice backstory. So I need to kind of uh, distribute Activepieces in Reddit, and I needed to earn some karma, like some reputation, so I can post in this community. So I found the easy way to trigger people is to talk about the microservice and Kubernetes. So I created this meme and start posting around in memes threads so I can just earn this karma fast. And I think if you want to earn the karma faster in Reddit, say JavaScript is a bad language, you will get a lot of upvotes. That's kind of nice way to put it in. Even though we use TypeScript a lot, so I just use it to farm some karma. So in this example, I have seen many startups actually start early on, say like we want to use microservice, we want to use Kubernetes. And when I ask why, it's either resume, but sometimes it's actually say, what if 2 years after now, we hired a team of engineers and we want to scale? Like we are two engineers, we are a proper company now, maybe we are 10 engineers and we want to scale. So we should start from early on, like the right setup. And I would argue in you might the startup might not exist in 2 years. So you just need to use your money and time wisely to ship the products. Okay, so let's jump into second chapter, which is about design. This is kind of like my favorite chapter, to be honest. Okay, so um, let's put some facts. UI UX designers doesn't like engineers. Engineers doesn't like UI UX designer. This is like a fact. I have seen it everywhere. And why is that? Because UI UX designers have their own creativity world, and engineers want to implement this kind of work. So the both thinking world doesn't overlap. So we need to bridge the gap. We need to find a proper language that they can talk to each other. And that's what is you should choose design system very early on in your startup. And we will talk how you choose one, what is the option, or even if you want to build one. So why do we choose design system? Because first, it's consistent. User will expect the same behavior across your product. The second thing is the speed of delivery. You write less code, you ship faster, and less bugs. Why less bugs? I always say if you want to avoid bugs, just don't write the code. So try to write less code, and so you kind of avoid bugs. So there is kind of like a free mental way where you like a free proper way where you can choose a design system. So either you use an opinionated one like Bootstrap material, or you use like these days what they call it like foundation of your design system like ChatCN. And the third option is to build your own. So from these three options, I never recommend anyone to build their own because you don't want to reinvent the wheel. You will have to write everything. And if you choose an opinionated design, like a material or like Bootstrap, then I would say either take it or leave it. Just take it as it is or leave it as it. Like just don't use it. The reason, like you can see that during the conversation that's happened between designers and programmers. Usually the designers say like, yeah, we're still using material, but maybe can you modify the borderline of the button? And the truth is, the engineers cannot do that because the way that these things are designed, either you try to hack it around or you just say it's not possible. So it always ends in a conflict. So the new way to do design systems is to use something like ChatCN, where I think some people call them copy paste components. So you copy the design, you copy a starting point, which could be like a ChatCN in your code base, and then you try to communicate with with the UI UX what's the changes you want to apply for this design system. In this way, you have complete control. You can pick only components you need, and it's fully customizable. And the great thing, it's battle tested because other people have tested it. The functionality works. You don't have to worry all about the weird corner cases that user going to hit into. So this is kind of another fun part. I have entered an endless conversations with UI UX designers, or maybe as an engineer with myself, is should I put 13 pixel or 12 pixel? And this is conversation could take 5 minutes because 13 pixel is definitely better than 12 pixel. But yeah, you can't prove that. That's subjective. Um, so the same thing goes for font sizes. Do you want to use 15 pixel as a font size or 16 pixel as a font size? So to avoid these conflicts, I would choose like a layout system. So your spacing is multiple of 4. So 12 pixel, it's either 12 or 8 or 16. And there is enough space between these three values that's it's obviously one of them is good. So 12 pixel and 13 pixel is like really close to each other, so you don't really know which one is better one. But if the space is larger, then you can easily tell it from the eye, and that's kind of also minimize the conflicts. Same thing goes for font. You have to choose your font, the style font, and give them a class name. Okay, so that's also an interesting chapter. The third pillar, the product. I always say build half a feature, not half a feature. And I will give a concrete example. First, think of a feature that you want to build. Then say, I want to throw half of it away. Which half I would throw? Keep repeating that until you know exactly what is the most essential like a most essential requirement that user has. You have to do this exercise. It's a bit uncomfortable, but we will have to actively doing that. This is kind of a nice example in Activepieces. So we are an automation product. At some point, the user want to use LLM, and there is too many LLMs model these days, and the user doesn't want to try them very fast. And very fast mean here is like the user doesn't want to sign in, sign up in each of these LLM provider and try to get an API key or whatever the authentication method is. So we ourselves said, okay, let's build a version that solves this issue. So first, we built a unified TypeScript SDK. Don't ask me why. In this unified SDK, we start understanding these different LLM models. We try to build our own abstraction. We even said like we want to be leader in that space, and we provided the people a documentation how to do that, like how to customize our SDK. And the second thing we did is we created like an AI proxy or gateway where we know who's talking to us, like the user, Activepieces user. So we enrich our credential in the midway, and we just charge the user for this for their usage. 1 year later, we found we are not the leader of this space. Nobody contributed to our unified SDK, and we have too many bugs that we can't even solve. So looking back, I think what we did is that like now we want to delete it. So we delete the documentation, we delete everything, and we modified our proxy just to work well with existing open source unified SDK that has 5 full-time engineers maintaining it, and we don't have the capacity to do that. Okay, so the second thing is I kind of like the Elon Musk way. Like his book is around 2,000 pages, something like that. It's full of drama, but maybe let's talk about the practical part. Is the Elon Musk way of building companies, and you can kind of extend this to software. So first, question every requirement. Yeah, that's easier said than done. The way we do it, each requirement, we name the person behind it. We don't even say Activepieces user. We say like John. John want this. And we name the exact customers who want these features. And kind of like this is make us do the first and second step where we find what is necessary, what is unnecessary. Once we have like a solid problem statement, we actually try to find a simple way to implement it. For example, should we build it ourselves or should we integrate with the market? And kind of, if it's not within your core, just integrate with the market. Then you jump into the fourth step is how product is built. The fastest way, like the best way to build high quality product is to actually doing your cycles like really iterative way where you do assumptions, you ship them, you test them with the real users, and you keep repeating. And once you are efficient enough, try to automate uh, these steps. So one example I can say here is in Activepieces, we also want to go viral. And we said we built a nice product where a user can describe their automation in natural English text, and we write a code to automate what they're looking for. So we spend, I think, 2, 3, even a month, like working on this LLM, just like to generate the right automation. And we were like so excited. We released it, and once we released it, I start doing the user interviews, and like I keep remembering this is one of the user actually wrote in the prompt, "Can you read my to-dos on Slack and summarize them?" And myself, I don't know how he used Slack as a to-do tracker. Slack is a way just to send the messages. And turn out he have a very special setup. He has like a shared channel with his teammates. Every week they share the to-do there. And he assumed that the AI know that, and the AI should read the Slack and try to answer these questions. And then actually the important part of this product is not writing the automation, it's just how do you let the user describe their automation in the right way? So you have to give like an experience for them. They're like, is this really what you want? Like you try to ask it questions. So yeah, so that's thing. If we never ship fast, we would never know. Maybe we would spend 4 or 5 months actually developing this product. It was working. At least it was working for me in my machine because I describing exactly what I'm expecting, but the user doesn't know that. So to conclude, like to give a concrete conclusion, the only way, like from beginning, even before Activepieces, like from the flying events, um, at actually this is a nice story. At the time of developing the flying event, there was a competitor for us, and we thought, yeah, because there is a competitor, that means we are doing something right. We actually develop a product, we invalidate it, we talk to the customer, we know this is not what they want, but the competitor until today, they actually developing the product and not validating and not learning as fast as we do. So it's a bit uncomfortable to ship fast because you feel like a fraud. So for example, in the first time when we sold customers and we don't have a working product, we told them we don't have a working product, but it's actually feel like you are scamming people. But no, this is how product is made. You ship, you be transparent with the user, you get a feedback, you keep iterating. So the Elon Musk algorithm, actually getting back to Elon Musk, this is how his first SpaceX engine, this is the second SpaceX engine, and this is the third one, which is faster and better. So thank you for listening, and I would love to know if you have any questions.
So we have mics. The ushers have mics. Who has questions?
No one?
If no one has questions, I will. Ayad has a question here.
Oh, that's hard one.
So, okay, great. Thank you. I like this approach that you are taking, and we are trying to do the same. But what we are noticing, especially when you grow the team, you start to get some resistance from maybe new joiners, from new engineers that they join your team, and especially they have their previous experience, and they came with like their predefined styles and so on. How do you shift their minds to be what you are talking about?
Yeah, that's great. So every new hire we do today, they have to ship something for production within their first week. So you kind of like you need to build a culture, and the way you build a culture is like to keep repeating doing it for a while, and then people will start getting used to it. Any more questions?
Okay. Until someone else asks, I want to ask a question.
Okay.
How did you get into YC? أعطينا يعني واسطة كذا إيش? Did you pay the money?
What is it?
How did you get into YC?
Oh, how I get into YC. We applied. We actually didn't get a referral. We applied and we get an interview. That's it. It was like 10 minutes interview.
What do you think they liked about you?
Yeah, I thought they liked our product, but now I'm looking at the product we submit. It was like complete disaster, and I wonder why they accepted us. Later on, I think 3 months, I asked them, "Why did you accept us?" And said, "You guys are an industry that has money, and we trust you as a team to navigate this maze to find where this money is."
It was a great team tackling a really good market, and that's why they.
Yeah, so basically they're looking for, if you ship a product, which is like a working demo, that means you can probably make a working product. So that's the first thing they look into. The second thing, they look in the team, if like what skills this team has. Probably they're looking for a technical co-founder at least. And the third part is the industry you are in making money or not? And the automation industry is like clearly huge, and probably you will find your fit somewhere if you execute it well.
Thank you so much, Muhammad.